So here we go with our floor plan project. So you'll be taking this handout and you'll be recreating this drawing on your 11 by 17 gridded paper. A couple of things that I'd like you to be mindful of is it's really important that you start this corner of the house using these dimensions. So for instance, the first thing I'd like you guys to do is to establish this corner half an inch away from the top of your sheet of paper and 2 3/4 inch away from the edge of your paper all the way over. So come to this sheet and come half an inch from the top and 2 3/4 inch roughly, so about here. So that's it right here. So this corner should match this corner. If you don't match it there, you might run out of space because 11 by 17 is obviously kind of small to draw floor plan in. And so if you misregister that, you may run out of space by the time you get to trying to finish off your floor plan. So that's kind of step one. Make sure you establish that corner, the upper left-hand corner. What I would actually do before I start actually drawing on a sheet of paper is I will go back and dimension all of these things so that I know how long these walls are. This drawing, if you print it, it should print 1/4 inch per foot, which means that if I get my 1/4 inch scale over here, so for every 1/4 inch that I measured, it equals 1 feet, right? Remember the scale exercise that we did? And in a 1/4 inch, if you see, my 0 is on the bottom, so you'll be reading all the bottom numbers. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is take this, and that measures 31 feet 9 inches. Now, if you guys are off by a few inches, it's really okay. Just try to be as accurate as possible. But this is 31 feet 9 inches, so I'm going to write down 31 feet 9 inches. I'm going to measure this guy here. This is like 19.3 roughly. This is 16. This is 19. It's 47.9. And this one's 11. This is like 14.3. Little right around 13. Another sanity check that you guys can do is if I add 19.3 and 19, and these my brains aren't as sharp and I don't want to mess it up, so if I go 19 plus 19, 38, so this should measure 38 feet total. It should measure 38 feet 3 inches. And if I add this and this and that, that should measure 38 feet 3 inches. So if I get 11 plus 14, I'm not going to do the 3, and then 13, and that's 38, and then 3, so that's 38.3. So I know that I measure this and this, the overall width of the house, accurately in relationship to the front and the back. And that will go the same if I measure this, and this versus, well actually, sorry, 31.9 plus 16 should equal 47.9, right? So that's how you can check that whether you've measured kind of accurately or not. This little offset here is roughly 6'3". And this little doohickey here, the way how I would measure that is I would actually draw kind of a guideline. Try to draw a perpendicular line. I'm just going to eyeball it, and you guys can eyeball it too. It doesn't really, I'm good with that. So what you want to do is you want to measure from here to here, and also from here to there. So I'm going to draw like a guideline. And of course that should be perfectly 90, but if you're not, it's okay. We're working with kind of limited tools here. So I'm going to measure, let's say 2 feet. And then, so that'll be 2 feet right here. And then this would be about 4.5 feet. So this is 2 feet. And then this guy here is 4.5 feet. Once you establish a line here and a line here, you can just connect the dots, and that's how you get your bay window. So I would first establish my kind of overall dimensions before I get really detailed in, and kind of roughly block out my floor plan. So I'm going to bring my sheet back in here again. And remember guys, I've already established this corner here using this kind of reference dimension that I've given you guys on the handout. And so I just need to go from here 31 feet 9 inches. So I'm going to measure 31, well actually I'm going to go 9 inches. That gets me to 31, which is like slightly shy of this kind of grid line. And we're just going to try to stay close to that without having to remeasure. So I'm going to use my grid line reference to kind of draw a straight line as possible off the grid line. And you're going to draw a light guideline that you could see. Yeah, I'm going to start drawing it that way you guys can see it on the screen. But usually I won't darken it in until I have all my reference lines in. But for you guys, I think it's hard to see that. And my line is just shy of my major grid line, at least on my paper. But so that line represents the width of that wall. And I know that it comes down 19 foot 3 inches. So I have, it does end up there, which is great. So and then I go 16 feet. And I'm going to go down 19 feet. It's not quite on my grid line, so I'm going to make myself a little. I know this wall is super long, so I'm just going to draw a long reference line as long as possible. And I know that this 47.9 from here to here is equal to this line here, which I have here. So I know that this line is going to go all the way until I meet here. So I can just start darkening it in. So I'm almost done. I need to go up 11 feet. Just do this grid line. And this part is 13, so I'm coming down 13. Here. And then it comes out 6 foot 3 outwards. And then this is where I'm going to come back in with some guidelines because I got some connecting the dot to do here. I'm going to draw it a little bit dark so you guys can see it, but I just drew a guideline there. This dark grid line actually becomes my guideline there anyway. Oh, and then I need to measure from this wall to this wall that distance. So that's measuring roughly 1 foot. I'm just going to go 1.5 feet. So I can come out, which is roughly to that grid line there. So I'm just going to eyeball it. So I kind of have like a rectangle coming out. And then now I just need to establish, I know that point is going to be 2 foot in from this line. And then this point's going to be 4'6". From this line. So first point, I'm going to come in from this line 2 foot. Just point here. I'm going to use a pen so you can see it. And then the second point comes in 4'6" from the same line. So I'm going to come here, 4'6", connect the dots, basically. Oh shoot, I completely forgot to come out 6'3". My bad, guys. Yep, easy to make mistakes, which is okay. So it should be here. I drew my reference line in the wrong location. Pencil. I'm going to transfer this line here. Just going to do that. So that's where you want to draw with your pencil, not with a pen, because I'm not erasing that guy at this point. I'm just going to kind of cheat. I'm going to just count the blocks here. 1, 2, and a third. I'm going to go 1, 2, and a third, because I don't want to bore you guys with you watching me measure all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here. Please measure though. Don't do what I just did and cheat. So I kind of have my overall outline done for my floor plan, and the next thing to do is to offset these lines 6 inches in scale, and that'll represent kind of the thickness of our wall of our house. So I know that these grids are a little bit shy. So the walls, when we're hand drafting, we assume that they're going to be 6 inches thick. In reality, they're going to vary from about 5 3/4 to, let's say, 3.5. You know, about roughly 5 3/4 to 5 7/8, and depending on what kind of wall material you use, it might be a little bit thicker. But just for illustration purposes on our floor plan, we draw our walls 6 inches thick. So I'm just going to, give myself a little reference line here, or reference points that represents 6 inches. Again, you want to kind of go in with some guidelines before you start darkening them in. So I'll do that. So once you have like a offset line of 6 inches throughout your whole house, then you want to come back in and darken it in. I am going to kind of speed up this demo by eyeballing at this point where my 6 inches might be. So we pretty much have the outside outlines. And the next thing you want to do is really kind of come back in here into this sheet and measure the inside lines to establish the interior walls, and then go back and start detailing out, if it's a kitchen, put in a sink and a stove. You guys can draw in a little bed if it's a bedroom, and if it's a bathroom, draw in a little toilet and things like that. So let me go ahead and start measuring off, at least to locate this kind of kitchen and this existing laundry. I'll just measure from this side because it's much easier. And again, I know that I didn't fudge that line, so I'm going to measure from this outside line. And it doesn't really matter which line you measure to, but I'm just going to go from outside to outside in this case. And that measures roughly 6 feet. So I'm going to go from my outside line 6 feet, which is somewhere here. And then I need to measure this line and outside to maybe the outside. So it's like 9'3". Where am I? I'm going to go about 9'3", which is about here. I'm going to give myself another mark. I don't want to get too sloppy. So this 9'3", I'm just going to make a long line like this, because I know that it's going to go a long way. And then it's going to measure, I'm going to go outside again to outside here, and that measures 21'3". So that line should measure 21 feet 3 inches. I'll just take another 21'3" somewhere down here in the bottom, so that I can draw kind of a reference line. So I know that the wall kind of comes like this, and comes back down, and then my laundry wall's here. So let me start darkening it in so that you guys can see what's happening. And again, you want to do this with a pencil so that you can go back and erase some parts, either that are mistakes or later on when you start to detail out all the walls. And I'm going to make the thickness of the wall here. Down here. And then it seems like this wall continues from this outside line, so I can take that reference line there, stay straight as much as possible. Yeah, it seems like that wall comes all the way down across, so I'm just going to draw a line all the way, give it a rough thickness for my wall here. You guys, I like you guys to try to measure out 6 inches as close as possible. And it seems like this line continues all the way across, right? So, and then this line comes all the way down, and they meet. So I could actually just continue this wall. And you are going to have a bunch of overlapping lines. Again, I can't stress to you enough that you should be doing this with a pencil. So as you can see now, I'm starting to block out my wall. I still have to locate that, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to try to wrap up this demo here. So once you block out your wall, you are going to have like overlapping lines here, overlapping lines, wherever you started to draw. Actually, this one comes all the way across. And you're going to go back and erase those overlapping lines so that you get a clean floor plan. So basically, right here, I have 3 lines that are crossing each other. Like these lines should be erased, right? Go back and erase all of those lines. But anyhow, once you have all your walls blocked out, exterior and interior walls, you want to start to locate your openings. Openings are like your doors and windows. So for instance, this window here by the dining room, I'm going to measure. It's roughly 6.5 inches away from this wall, and the window itself is a 3.5 foot wide window. So 6.5 and then 3.5. put 6.5. And then, so my window there. And then what I'd like you guys to do is just erase this line. I mean, really, it should be a really light line, because remember on a floor plan, I'm going to flip this backwards. So remember, we're cutting our wall our door, right? So this is our door, this is our window, and these lines are what we're drawing as representing our walls. And then wherever there's a window, we just finished drawing these two lines. So technically the bottom of the window is lower than this surface, so that should be a lighter color. So that should be dark, should be light, or medium. Okay? And then you guys can draw a little line in the middle that represents the glass, and that could be a dark line. So yeah, I'm going to draw it on the side here. So a typical window should look kind of like this. So this is your window opening, and then you could have a single line down the middle. And that should be acceptable for hand drafting. If you wanted to get really fancy, you could drop a really medium light line there. That represents kind of like the bottom of the window. And if you wanted to, you guys can put in a little frame of the window. But all that stuff is really at a hand drafting level. Not really necessary, but you could definitely detail it out nicer if you like. So you will be locating the windows, and of course you'll be erasing or making these two lines much lighter. And like the front door here, let's just assume somewhere here, and the door swinging inwards. So if this door opening is 3 foot, then you're going to make this door swing 3 foot. And I know that we're limited in tools, so you can just kind of leave your door like that, or you can give it an effort and kind of draw an arc that represents the swing of the door. So hopefully that gave you guys enough information for you to finish off the floor plan. Oh, a couple of things. If you do a bathroom and there's a toilet here, well, actually the toilet's somewhere here, but I'll just draw it here. Just go ahead and just give yourself a square and freehand a square and a circle that represents the toilet. And then for vanity or sinks, you could draw about a 20-inch deep sink, and however wide you want, and then you can just drop a circle in it that represents a sink. And then a tub. Tubs are usually 30 to 32 inches wide by 5 feet long. You can just draw a box, and then you can draw another box inside of it, kind of free. That represents a tub. Alright, so that should give you guys enough to go on, and you guys need to finish out that floor plan for me. We'll see you guys in the next demo.